I'm here in my home glassblowing lab and going to make an angel that's new this year, holding a little glass box, which then later I stuff with flakes of gold with some adhesive between them so they don't come flying out. So the very first thing, I'm using some 8mm rod, 4mm rod, and I'm going to take this and flatten it just a little bit on this graphite piece. Graphite doesn't burn very easily, and therefore it's an ideal thing for shaping. And now I'm going to heat the thicker rod, and this is the one that I'm going to use to make the lace body. But before I make the body, I'm going to just wind it up on here, just like a person were building a lollipop where it's wound around and around, and this will become the bottom of the angel. You might wonder, how does that stick coming out of it fit in? Well, that gets removed in the final step. So I normally count. I go 4 times around. We're on 3.5 right now, and then when we get to the end, we stop and we just change the angle a little bit, make sure that's welded together well so it doesn't come loose, and we begin just very slowly and carefully making a little lace. I don't make the fine, delicate lace that you sometimes see. My lace is a little bit heftier, sturdier, and thus doesn't break as easily. I like to make sturdy, durable products. So we just continue this process, which can be tedious, and at this point it could become one of about 10 different products, but I'm going to taper it in, each layer being pulled just a little bit closer to the center, and continue doing this in as uniform a method as I can. It isn't uniform, and no two angels are the same because they're all handmade and you can't make them exactly the same. So I guess that's what makes them unique. Some people ask, do I put it into a mold? Nope, it's just this slow process of adding one after the other. So don't give up yet, because we're getting smaller and smaller. And of course, since the circumference is smaller as we go up, it goes a little bit faster now too. In this video, you're probably seeing lots of yellow flame. I wear these funny glasses, not just to look funny, but they block out that yellow light. So I see this. I see what you're seeing now, and I see through that yellow light, and that allows me to be able to manipulate it just the way I want it. And it also protects my eyes. The yellow light itself is just a little bit blinding, but it's not harmful. What's harmful is the heat given off. And these glasses are specially designed to block out heat in a way that sunglasses don't do. By the way, the heat we're blocking out, the flame is approximately, well, it's a little bit over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot. We're getting to the end here, where I will complete it by putting this in the middle, squishing it up a little bit, sealing it, and let gravity pull it down a little bit. And now I'm going to put it in a very hot flame and heat it all up again to seal up any problem areas, and also this will allow me to shape it. This one doesn't need much shaping. It looks pretty well shaped. One question is, if it's 3,000 degrees, how can you have your hands so close? Well, it's easier to burn oneself in the flame than it is on the glass, because the glass is 3,000 degrees, but glass is an insulator. An insulator doesn't mean that it doesn't conduct heat, but it does so very slowly. So now I'm holding it up and I'm slightly pulling up and down and turning it to make sure that it's a nice uniform cone, and it looks like it is. Also looks like this is going to be a gargantuan size angel, but some angels are really big. This is going to be one of them. Oh, so now I'm taking a piece that's about 2.5, 3 inches out, and I'm just heating it up so much until it becomes so thin I can do what's called a flame cut. So now, for a while, I'm done with that piece of glass, and now I'm going to put this piece in and heat the heck out of it, and as the glass heats, we're going to shape it. Now, I don't use tools. I'm going to utilize two things. Gravity, which all the time wants to pull it this way, so it's sagging now. Gravity's pulling it down. So I have to rotate this at, it isn't necessarily an even rate, at a rate in which to keep the ball of glass that's forming right on the axis. And so that's coming along a little bit. The other tool I have, I don't have any control over, but it's the surface tension of the glass. Surface tension makes any liquid, given the opportunity, to occupy the smallest surface area. And the smallest surface area of a drop of liquid or glass is a sphere. And so right now it's trying to be a sphere, but gravity pulled it a little bit, so I've got to have gravity pull it the other way. I can't reach in and grab that thing out. So sometimes it would be tempting. So now we have kind of a spherical head on top of a kind of lace body. The next thing we're going to do is build some wings. The wings I make out of the 8mm. I might just turn the flame down in intensity a little bit. And now to impart a shape on the wing, I'm going to use a tool, and it's a very simple tool. It's a triangular file, but I'm going to use the non-business end. I'm going to use the handle of the triangular file. It just happens to be handy. I'm going to squish it once, 2, 3 times, and you see we have kind of a pattern, and that pattern will look good when I attach it and pull it out. So now I got to find where's the front of the angel, and you say, well, how can you tell where the front is? There's one part that looks more fronty than the rest normally. It just takes experience. So now I'm going to heat both pieces up, join them together, heat the flattened, shaped piece of glass on both sides, and then I'm going to slowly pull it out, and I'm slightly turning the angel too. It's very important to turn it because that tends to shape it a little bit better. Well, I didn't do a very good job of turning. I was too busy talking, so I heated it up a little bit there, and I'm going to push it a little bit on my own. So you can do that as long as it's still pretty warm. So now we're going to make 2 angels. 2 wings. Most angels have 2 wings. I guess. I haven't done an inventory. Okay, once again, we'll keep the angel hot. We'll heat this glass until I can squish it 3 times. Looks like it's about ready. Okay, then back on the graphite plate, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, get it back in the flame, reheat it as quickly as possible. Heat the spot up also where we're going to put it. Now I've got to turn it so the pattern is out, so if they match. Matching the wings is the difficult part. Making one wing is pretty easy, but making them look alike is trickier. So I'm pulling it out, and I'm trying to rotate the angel itself so that it forms kind of a arc. Then I seal the 2 tips together to give them a little bit more rigidity. And in this case, I really don't like this one side very much. I'm going to go back and, while it's still pretty warm, reheat it and then just shape it a little bit with another piece of graphite. And that's a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to put some arms on here. The arms are going to be holding the box, and we're going to make the box too. So, okay, these are going to be pretty short arms. Okay, here we go. And there's one arm. We're going to make it come kind of straight out, and we'll fix them so that they touch, so that it will be able to hold the box better. Got to keep the glass hot where I'm going to put this on. Squish this onto the body. Pull it out. When it gets about the same length, cut it off. Take off any extra glass. And now we've got finished arms. Now we're going to put a box. Now the box starts out as a piece of tubing which has been cut, and this took me a long time to figure out how to make this into a box. I tried everything, but what I'm going to do is put this in the flame and flatten it on the graphite plate slowly in one direction. And so I ended up with something that's flattened on one side. I like it a little bit more flattened, so instead of talking so much, I should think what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. It's flattened on one side. So how do we make a box out of that? Well, that comes later. So this flattened side, which would have been hard to work on the angel, gets closest to the angel's body, and I attach it in the flame, probably hard to see here, to the upper parts of the arm. So that's what it looks like here, and if I need to do a little bit of adjusting so that it's aimed right, I can do that. Now, why isn't it touching the bottom part? Because now I make the rest of the box. So I'm going to heat the front of it, and now I can get a tool around the back, and I can squeeze it together, or I can just use this. So now we have 2 parts of the square. Now we got to do the sides, and we put them together. And normally one side cools before the other, so I have to go back and do that again. And it's kind of a box shape. But now it's only connected in the back, so now we've got to, first of all, heat up the bottom of the box, heat up the hands, shove the hands up into the box, maybe just shape this out a little bit more so that it looks good. And then I like to have the box aimed so it's tilted, so the viewer can see, oh my gosh, there's real gold in it. So I just tilted it a little bit. So now we put on the halo.